이 자리에서 사람 하나 죽이려면 죽일 수 있겠슈.
His passing to me isn't a gift at all.
It's almost Halloween, guys, and that means it's almost Voidtober on this channel, which means we're going to be watching a lot of movies that I used to watch when I was a kid or when I was growing up, whether they be full feature films or, in this week's case, 5 horror anthology releases that are coming out between now and Halloween. Let's get into it. What's up, guys, and welcome back to Beyond the Void. My name is Alex, and today we're going to be doing my weekly watch list, but with a twist. Yes, we're going to be doing 5 new horror anthology releases that are going to be coming out between now and Halloween that you might want to check out and pick up for yourself. Now, as mentioned before, I love watching some classic films around the holidays, especially for Halloween, because it just brings back those nostalgic memories that I always had around Halloween, watching all of those favorite movies that I loved growing up. And part of those have always been anthologies, ones like Creepshow, or, well, now VHS is one of my favorite ones. But there's always been these episodic things that I've watched over my years of growing up, like Tales from the Dark Side, or Tales from the Crypt, or Monsters, or just a numerous amount of different shorts. And anthologies in particular, or episodic anthology stories, are just amazing. And I got some brand new ones that are coming out between now, pretty much the 16th of September, till October 30th. So you're going to want to keep an eye out for them and maybe pick them up for yourself, which I'll include all the links down below if you want to pick up a copy for yourself. And yeah, without further ado, let's get into it. Now, these are in no particular order. I just kind of went with it and tried to arrange them in a way that might be interesting for you guys. We're going to start it off with an unknown one, an unknown anthology from Italy. Yes, and this is from SRS. SRS is putting out The Door of Sin, which has actually been around since 2022. I think it's older than that, but it's a newer film, and it's coming out on September 16th for you guys that might want to pick it up on DVD. It's super cheap, like $8 or $10. So there's a chapter 1 and 2 and 3, and they kind of go through all the different chapters in this one, but it's actually held by this sort of crypt keeper looking guy on the front here, as you can see. And he kind of tells the tales of all of these different dimensional stories, ones that include a door, which, if you can see, there's a guy walking up to a door there. They all include this door that everybody is somehow related to or involved with, and there's this sort of dimension where people can become some sort of creature or some sort of magical, I don't know, man. This is a wild one. So this one is essentially about the Guardian, the guy on the cover here, this guy. The Guardian will guide you to parallel worlds and alternate realities steeped in madness, blood, and strange creatures. A homage to horror films of the late 70s and 80s and the beloved Crypt Keeper. So you can see where they get this, this guy on the front. Now the mask, when he's wearing it, is over the lips, so you can see his lips moving behind the mask, but I still think it's kind of cool what they did with it. This one is going to be a anthology that you're going to have to lower your expectations on because it's made on nothing. It's made on a shoestring budget. They really didn't have that much money to go along, but the ideas and the concepts are really high. So these are stories that are dealing with that door, this parallel dimension door, and these 3 stories, and they use the same character, well, same actors in different roles in different dimensions. So it's like you're getting a little story and how they're all connected into one. Chapter 1 is The Apprentice Guardian, where it's kind of like Jet Li's The One, where there's this one person who is killing off all the other versions of themselves to become one strong entity so that the parallel dimensions give her all the power, which is kind of a cool, interesting concept to play with. But, you know, it's very fair to middling when it comes to the story on this one. It did have some gore in it with this woman who gets buried and she basically gets hit by a car and then something comes out of her, and it's this weird kind of story about two different versions of her collapsing in on one. Chapter 2 is Insatiable Love, and this one deals with a man who misses his wife so much that he actually raises her from the dead, and she pretty much, you know, does what zombies do. Third chapter is called Infected Blood, and this one is about an infection that's like existing all over the planet, and everyone is sort of finding that door that I keep talking about on the back here. They get special powers and things like that. So it's like they're tapping into this dimension. I would say, you know, out of all of these, I think I like the second one the most, but you know, there's some gore in here. And if you are an indie fan and you don't mind shoestring budget, like shot on video style movies, this might not be a bad one for you. But if you're not used to that, I would stay clear of it, just because I don't think it might be for you. But I do deal with a lot of indies, and I think it was a moderately decent anthology for some of the ideas and concepts. I think it was like a 4, maybe a 4.5 out of 10. It's a fair price for a fair movie. Up next, we have Creepshow 2 4K. Now, this is the check disc. I always tell you guys about this. I've been getting the check discs for these for a while from Arrow. They don't always hook everybody up with, you know, discs. These are exact copies of the disc that you will be getting in your Creepshow 2 4K edition. And it is just the 4K, and it is got a bunch of different extras and stuff that we'll go over on that. Not a lot of extras that you would get on this Arrow release that they did for the Blu-ray, which is a little sad, but man, woo, does it look crisp, man. Watching this on 4K was just amazing. This one, of course, if you've never heard of it, it is a collaboration. The first one was a very big deal because you had some of the masters of horror, George Romero, Stephen King, and a few others that collaborated on this one. 3 macabre tales, if you will, from the latest issue of the boys' favorite comic book, dealing with a vengeful wooden Native American, a monstrous blob in a lake, and an undying hitchhiker. These, I think, are pretty fun. I actually really like this one. It is directed by Michael Gornick, and he did all of the shorts on this one, so they all kind of feel like similar and samey. Stephen King, these are stories by him. And then George Romero did the screenplay treatment for all of them, except for the last one, The Hitchhiker. Lucille Fletcher actually helped him to flesh out that story. Tom Savini plays the creep in this one, and the first one kicks off with Old Chief Woodenhead. And in this one, we have an old shop that's in the middle of nowhere where this basic guy, this old family, this old man and his wife are running the shop. They're on the border of a native town, and they are very open to the people and the town itself. And we also have Holt McCallany, who is in the Mindhunter series on Netflix. He plays a young native, like, troublemaker guy who is like a modern version of the tribe, and he is out to rob the place, and things go wrong when a wooden chief on the front of the steps comes to life and starts killing everyone. Then we got the second one called The Raft, where a group of kids go out to a lake to enjoy the summer. They're cranking the tunes, pulling up to the beach without turning off the car, and just going out to this little spot in the middle of the lake where it's like a floating raft. They find out that there's a blob-like creature that's floating around in there, killing off their friends, which is gory, fun, and just amazing. The third film, or the third short, is The Hitchhiker, which is probably one of my favorite ones in this whole one. They seem to get better as it goes. And The Hitchhiker is about this woman who hits a guy, which is very much like I Know What You Did Last Summer, almost like the same turn and corner and everything. But she hits this guy in a poncho and he goes down, and she's like, screw it, I'm out of here. He just keeps appearing on the road as she's driving, attacking him, and he's attacking her. And by the time she gets home, it's probably one of the most graphic, disgusting, and funny shorts that you will see. I mean, some of the practical effects in this are just fucking beautiful. Almost a near perfect fucking anthology. Honestly, I think it's like an 8.5 out of 10. You know, I think the first one probably is like a 9. They're really close, but they're both like ones that have grown on me over the years. And if you haven't seen Creepshow 2, what the hell are you doing with your life? Now, if you are upgrading from the Blu-ray of Arrow's Creepshow 2, I got some disappointing news for you on that. It's not the best news anyway. You're pretty much only going to be getting the same extras that were in here on the 4K. Now, I will say, if I had to choose between the Blu-ray and the 4K, there's no question I would go with the 4K because it just looks really crisp, really great in dark and bright areas. It just looks fantastic. It's one of the better looking, prints I've seen on 4K. It really looks amazing. But that said, the only difference between the 4K and the Blu-ray originally came with a booklet by Michael Blythe. But as you can see here, I didn't get the limited edition version of that. So I don't know if it includes this, but supposedly for the Creepshow 2 4K, you're going to get that same booklet, only it's a limited edition booklet featuring a comic adaptation of the unfilmed Creepshow 2 segment called Pinfall, which they did not include in the movie, and it's by Jason Momoa, who did the artwork for that. I don't think that was with the Blu-ray, so that may be just enough to push you over the edge. Honestly, I think the print looks really great, but I understand if someone would want to wait to a different 4K if they didn't get extras and they love the extras. But here are the extras. I'll put both on the screen for you so you can see. Pause if you need to see it longer. That said, this release is actually going to be hitting the shelves on September 30th, so you can get your pre-order in now if you'd like to get the copy of that. It is a limited booklet, so make sure you order early so you can get that extra bonus in there if you can. But yeah, links are down below. Up next, we've got All Hallows Eve Inferno. Now, I've been doing a few of these over the years, or past year, I think. I did Inferno this time, but I did Mother Goose's Scary Tales just a few month ago or so, and that one was pretty decent. And then they had another one called Trickster from last year that I did that I actually really enjoyed. I thought it was actually pretty fun. So most of these I've been looking forward to because I don't mind that they're indie anthologies whatsoever. But this one I have a few gripes with, and I'll explain to you as I go on. But first of all, what is this one? Sort of the B-roll for this themed one. Obviously, Halloween. We got the pumpkin guy, which I don't think they really name on the front, but this is from the producers of Terrifier 2. They've been putting these out to try to do this world, this universe with all these different characters other than the Terrifier. And in the intro of each one of these, they always have some character like Mother Goose, who is this guy wearing a goose mask, or this other one that was the trickster. And it's really dark 3D animation. And I gotta be honest, out of all three of the ones I've seen recently, this one, I couldn't even see a damn thing on the screen. And I'm not sure if that's because it doesn't translate well to DVD and, darkness, but it is almost impossible to see what the hell's on the screen. I was squinting, trying to see, and that really annoyed me. Well, it does affect the overall purchase of this, but it didn't affect my opinions of the short, so to speak. But I wanted to give you that a little bit heads up. Now, there is no wraparound story. It's just this Pumpkinhead guy who's saying things about, I think, each one of these. And the first one is called In Lucidity, which is about a sleep demon, where this guy is having these dreams about a sleep demon who he can't beat because he doesn't have the control over his dreams. Lucid dreaming is what they call it. And there's this company that's doing experiments on a drug that gives you full control of your dreams so that you can kind of do whatever the hell you like. And it goes completely wrong. The next one is Hammurabi, which is about a deaf girl who it's a really weird story. I wasn't really sure what the hell was going on, but let's just say she doesn't do too much of a nice thing to her father. Then the next one is called Bakimano, which is about this soybean demon. There's actually another movie called Bakimano, and this soybean demon is about, you're supposed to leave food out for it every night, and the girl forgets to do that, and so then she gets taken over by a demon. Then there's another one called Aftertaste, which is about a micro chef kitchen where it's haunted by a ghost. I thought that was a really weird one. Some of it was cool, but the acting was decent in it. The final one is called Trial 22, which I liked the most, and it was kind of like an escape room, but cube style, involving a blind demon that was sitting in the middle of the room. It was kind of a cool story. I really liked that one. This one, I had to mark a little bit lower because I'm just really not feeling these 3D animated things in the beginning, especially if they're going to be that dark. And that's just, look, I'm just being honest. I don't mind that there's 3D in it. I think that's kind of cool. But if I'm not going to be able to see it, and then there's no story or wraparound to this to kind of make like the other ones had, at least the other ones had this sort of vibe about it that gives it a little bit more. This one just kind of feels a little empty, and I wasn't feeling it. Some of the shorts weren't all that great either, so I'd give this one a 3.5, maybe a 4 out of 10. It is coming out here on the 16th, so if you do want to pick it up and add it to your collection of All Hallows Eve, well, now you can. Up next, we have 3, which comes with 3 Extremes from Arrow Films. Now, both of these are included in one release, but I wanted to do reviews of each of them, so technically there is 5 movies or 5 anthologies. But they're selling them in a set for these that you can pick up on October 21st from Arrow. The first one I had never seen, by the way. I actually had no idea. I might have seen it, but it was so long ago I didn't remember anything about it. And this one is the Blu-ray, so they both have Blu-rays for them. They're not 4Ks. I think this is the first time they've ever been on Blu-ray. But this is the check disc. Like I said, perfect copy of what you guys will get. They looked pretty good. There is a little bit of grain in them, but these are older films, so it does do that sometimes. This one is 3 stories from all over 3 different Asian countries. All of these stories are kind of like done in a very art house way, very surrealistic sometimes, and they're very well acted. Like, there is a good amount of money that was put behind each of these roles from upcoming directors in horror, and they were all tasked with different, hey, we're going to get one from South Korea, we're going to get one from Hong Kong, and then we're going to get one from Thailand, and you guys just do whatever the hell you want. All of them are really well-made films. They may or may not strike everybody too well, because if you're not into that art house thing, it's understandable. They're a little bit more of a slow burn. But the first one on this one was Memories by Kim Ji-woon from South Korea, and it's essentially about a guy's wife who is missing and he's seeing ghosts. So this one gets really dark by the end of it. And I actually really like this one, even though it's the shortest segment out of all of them. I just love the atmosphere of it and how it kind of unveiled. Even if I knew what may have transpired somewhere in the beginning, because it kind of leads you down this path of like, what's going on? How did this happen? Why is there ghosts? Why is he experiencing it? And you sort of catch on pretty quick, but it's still very cool. And I thought it was extremely creepy. Now, the second one is from Thailand. It's called The Wheel, and it's about, it's essentially from the director of Nanzi Nimibuter. It's about a family's cursed puppet. They have, back in the day, they used to do these like shadow puppets, and then they moved to real puppets. And so the real puppets are kind of like, it's a big pride thing for a family to have them. A lot of really poor families do the puppet stuff in these big events for the town and the villages. And those puppets, they're crafted with such care and thought that they become some of the most prized possessions in the family of the village. Sometimes if somebody decides to steal one, take it from somebody else, there's a curse that is attached to it. And this one sort of gets out of hand when one of the guys who has the puppet suddenly dies and the whole town basically gets wasted. Subtle horror, supernatural thing going on here, how evil is causing all these bad things to happen, and it has a twist at the end. We also have the last one, which is called Going Home from Hong Kong, which is by Peter Chan, and it's about a man and his son who move into a new apartment complex, a very run-down, cheap apartment complex that they are kind of trying to get back up on their feet, and they have to stay here, and his dad goes to work every day while the son stays home. And the boy sort of finds out that there's a little girl in this place with this guy who is taking care of his paralyzed wife, a catatonic, if you will. And the boy disappears, and you start to find out more and more about this other guy with his daughter and the guy, the catatonic wife. This one was obviously the best one out of the three, but I personally like the first one and this third one the most, and then I would say the second one. If you like Asian films and you do not mind slow burns and a little bit of surreal kind of stuff with it, this is a good one. I wouldn't say it blew me away, but it is really well done. So it's hard to give this one a score that's low because it's so well crafted. But the stories didn't really blow me away, but I still feel like this is a 7 out of 10. And you can pick it up October 21st if you want to get it. Like I said, it comes with both, which I'm going to be talking about the 3 sequel called 3 Extremes next. So up next, like I said, we got 3 Extremes, which is the sequel to 3, which came out a few years later. It was 2007. The first one came out in 2002, so it was 5 years between the first one and then this one. And this one does the same thing, where it picks 3 extreme stories this time from 3 different Asian countries, including Hong Kong, South Korea, and Japan. When you hear about some of the ones that are in this one, you're going to be like, oh, snap, this is pretty cool. The first one is called Dumplings. And if you are an Asian horror fan and you've ever seen a movie called Dumplings, well, this is the short that feature-length film is based off of. Yes, it's a Hong Kong film from director Fruit Chan, who did The Abortionist and Coffin Homes. A lot of people talk about Dumplings because it has to do with kids and eating dumplings and food, and it's really gross. And it's about an actress who asks a woman who knows a special potion that includes a special version of things that you put in the dumplings, and it becomes apparent that it's something that you probably shouldn't do, but it gives her youth, and this actress wants to be young again, and so it's a youth potion, and things get, out of hand, obviously. The special ingredient, so to speak. Second one is called Cut, and it's from South Korea, from director Park Chan-wook, who did Old Boy, Thirst, and so many more movies. And this one is a story that's a little meta, actually. It's about a director that's filming a movie about vampires, and he's even set up the living room to look exactly like his own personal living room. And when he goes home to his wife after filming for the day, he finds that a strange man knocks him out. And then he wakes up to find his wife literally strung up to the piano by wires all over the room, and he's strapped to the wall with something tied around his waist. The man is like giving him an ultimatum about being a good man or a bad man, because apparently this director is rich and he doesn't understand why rich people are nice, because they're mostly mean people. And so he tasked this guy with doing mean things in that room in order to let his wife free. So yeah, that one was a really good one. I actually thought this one was very different from the other ones. It's probably the least slow-paced, got a lot more action and a lot more weird things that happen in it. I think it's the easier digestible one. The first one is a little slow. The third one, however, from Japan, and it comes from director Takashi Miike, which he did Ichi the Killer, Gozu, One Missed Call, and so many more. But this is one of his horror films, one of the few that he did. And this one's about a pair of twins that perform for a man in some sort of like circus out in the middle of nowhere. He's taking care of these 2 girls, and it's really kind of stranger danger, I should say, with this older man who's making these little girls perform. I'm not really sure how he's related to the kids, if at all, but let's just say there's some awkward situations in this one. One of them ends up dying in a box because the other one gets jealous of them doing a better job and getting the attention from the older man more. And so then fast forward to the future, it's this woman dealing with that. She's grown up with her twin and she has to go back to that situation. So things get really weird, supernatural, and stranger danger. I really don't know how I feel about this one. This one is just not the right time. Things have not aged very well for this particular movie, and I really wasn't sure what it meant. It's shot really well. It's very surrealistic, and it's got a lot of metaphors in it, so it's hard not to look at this like some sort of weird Freudian psychoanalytic kind of theory, because it really is about these two twins, and one of them gets jealous over the other about the parent or the guardian, whatever he is. I don't know. It's weird. I still enjoyed it. It is a little slow, and I think a lot of people are going to really not like this one as much. But, you know, with the other two in there, I still think this one is probably about a 7 out of 10 for this entire anthology. So yeah, both of these are pretty damn good if you are into slow burns and you don't mind Asian cinema and you like art house films. For those of you who are fans of Old Boy and Thirst from Park Chan-wook or Mike, it's nice to add to your collection from all over. But yeah, I think they kind of even out to about the same score. I wouldn't go any lower than a 6.5 with these, but I feel like 7 for both of these is pretty good because, you know, wherever they lack, they do well in other areas, so it's really kind of hard to balance out. But yeah, not the most stellar anthologies I've ever seen, but they're pretty decent if you like anthologies. Like I said, October 21st, you can pre-order now. I'll put a link down below. But yeah, that's it, guys. That's everything for this week's weekly watch list. I got 5 anthologies, luckily, to be able to shove into one new release and / weekly watch list thing. So I hope you appreciate that, you know, because I was like trying to figure out what I watched this week, and I was like, holy shit, wait, I've got a lot of anthologies that are coming up that I should do, and I could kill 2 birds with 1 stone. So I did. Anyway, guys, let me know what you think about these anthologies. Are you a big fan for anthologies? Do you like watching them around Halloween? I would love to hear what you think down in the comment section down below. If you guys have any ideas what I should be doing for Voidtober this October Halloween, let me know down there too. Thank you for coming by. Hit the like and subscribe button if you're new here. And as always, long live the Void.